Hello and welcome to the short video for Introduction to Philosophy, Class 13. So in Class 13, we begin our adventures in epistemology and metaphysics, beginning of course with epistemology. In philosophy, epistemology is the theory or study of knowledge. What can you know? How do you know? That type of stuff. And this goes way back to our good dead friend Plato and even earlier. Now, in epistemology, there's all kinds of classic philosophical problems. The two best known are what's called the problem of other minds, and then the bigger one is the problem of the external world. So the problem of other minds is this. Put very abstractly, the question is, how do I know that other entities have minds, that they have thoughts and feelings like I do? And that's a fairly abstract, problem. Now, this, of course, can become a very concrete and practical problem. We think typically of philosophy as being sort of like, again, very abstract and not particularly practical. But we face this practical problem with other minds quite often. The question is, when someone is interacting with a person, are they telling you the truth? Is what they're saying matching up with what they're thinking? And this could be like in the case of scamming, etc., deception, and so on. But just in general, how do we know that what a person is saying matches up with what they're actually thinking and feeling? And the answer, of course, we never really do know. Now, the practical example of this is, scams on the internet. They can be things like, financial scams. They can be like dating-related scams like catfishing. And the question would be, for example, if someone goes onto a dating site or app, like Tinder, Hinge, the B1, Bumble, Bumblebee, of course, etc. And there are pictures supposedly of someone. How do you know if that's actually the person in the picture is the person behind the pictures? And that's an example of the problem of other minds. How do you know what you're being presented with is what is really there? And those are all practical epistemic problems. And existing in our current griftocracy, where grifts and scams are kind of the order of the day, being able to address those epistemic, problems, like, is this the actual person? Is what they're saying true? Very practical skills. So the problem of their minds is a very practical problem today. Now, there's also the much broader problem of the external world. If you ever saw the classic 1999 movie, The Matrix, or similar movies, the problem is what's presented in the movie. How do you know that what you're experiencing, in my case, like I seem to be in a room with monitors, and stuff. How do I know that this is actually really real for real? Or how do I know that it's not a dream? Or an evil demon, like in Descartes' case, zapping me with these, experiences that aren't real? Or how do I know that I'm not in the Matrix? And that's the problem of the external world. How do you know that this is really real for real? And philosophers have been trying to address this for quite some time, with no success whatsoever, essentially. I mean, we've written a lot of stuff, but we haven't come up with like a way that can definitely show with absolute certainty that this is really real for real. Kind of a recent example of this involving, well, not relatively recent, involving Elon Musk, is his view that we are existing in a simulation. And that's just a variant of the problem of the external world. How do you know you're not just a program existing in a bigger program? And the answer is, of course, we don't. Now, one of the earliest systematic approaches to epistemology and metaphysics was by our good dead friend Plato. And he typically in his dialogues has a character of Socrates doing some Socratizing, doing some philosophy, and talking about stuff. So we've got a big chunk of Plato's epistemology and metaphysics, basically, how do you know stuff? What do you know it about? And we have the first video talking about kind of the setup for this, what is the background for this? Now, Plato, I guess spoilers, is Plato's view is that the way you get knowledge, your knowledge is of these things called the forms. And you learn about them when you're dead. And When you're reborn, Plato seemed to believe in possibility of reincarnation, at least in the context of the doctrine of recollection. And the idea is you die, your soul goes off, hangs out with these forms, you get reborn, the shock of rebirth, basically wipes out your memory. I mean, it's still in there, you just forget about it. You have kind of like this amnesia. And then through philosophy, according to Plato at least, you can regain this knowledge. Now, we also look at a bit of his metaphysics. Again, he's got the forms, he's got the world here. It's all kind of strange stuff. And there's also, of course, his famous Plato's line, where he believes that everything divides into these four categories. The most real stuff are the forms. The least real stuff would be things like shadows, illusions, and art, and the stuff in between. And this is discussed in Plato's line, his famous line. And I've got two videos on this, same content. I've got the original line video, and then I've got, this is kind of the classic one, and then I made a better one with better quality. And better is very relative, because I'm doing this, with my webcam. This is actually pretty good, my microphone thing, but not a lot of special effects. In fact, no special effects. There's also what Plato is probably one of the things he's really known for is the allegory of the cave. If you've seen the movie The Matrix, which is still a good movie, I mean, it holds up pretty well, even though it's 25 years old now, it still holds up pretty well. They made other ones not quite as good. So in the allegory of the cave, Plato has us imagine there's a person trapped within this cave. There are other people trapped in there, and they are able to break free and see that the cave is not what it appears to be, that it is a deception. And then they escape out into the light, and they get, knowledge. And then in the case of Plato, or case of Socrates, rather, goes back in the cave, they kill him, and then I guess he gets to reincarnate. Because if if Plato is right about reincarnation, you just reboot, respawn, and start over. So the content for the course is, this particular day, is the introduction, his epistemology of metaphysics, the forms, and you learn when you die, his particulars, the lovers of sights and sounds and lovers of wisdom, the line, the allegory of the cave with two options. Same content again, just I made slightly better videos later on. For the readings and files, here's all the notes for the course, all the readings. They're not like, I didn't chop them up to lots of files, but the notes cover all the parts, and introduction readings, all the readings for the stuff. And the coursework for the stuff today is quiz number 12, the introduction to epistemology, the start of this, and Plato's epistemology and metaphysics. And it's the usual quiz setup, 5 questions, true or false, time limit of 5 minutes, and the usual thing. Okay, so that's the stuff for class number 12, and a coincidental lineup, class 13, and a non-coincidental lineup of quiz number 12. So have a good day, stay safe, and I'll see you in the future.